Hey, welcome to this episode of Design Your Destiny. This is Penny, your host, and I am on fire today. It is a Saturday, and I am so on fire. I put on my face and I came into my office to record this episode. So just to preface for everyone, if you are not a hypnotist, then there's probably not going to be anything in this episode for you. But if you are a hypnotist, then you really want to listen to this. I value the hypnosis profession greatly. It has given me immense opportunity. It has transformed my life, and it has allowed me to serve my purpose in this life of helping other people love themselves, trust themselves, have the confidence and the motivation that they need to get out and do the things that they love doing, to hold healthy boundaries, to have healthier relationships. These things are so important to me. There are standards. There are ethics. There are also many hypnosis training programs and certifying organizations out there. Some of these certifying organizations are independent organizations, and some of these organizations are just an umbrella corporation that has been created by the company that created the training program. All of those things are okay. Okay, I'm going to say that again. All of those things are okay. I'm not here to mince words with how or where someone trained. But here's what I want you to know about the National Guild of Hypnotists. They are the longest standing hypnosis organization. They are separate from the instructors who do the training, right? So instructors get certified through them, but the NGH does not profit from training directly itself. The instructors and the trainers are responsible for training according to NGH guidelines, and in turn, the NGH provides membership and certification so long as that member is in good standing with the organization and is keeping up with their dues. At this point in time, continuing education is optional in the NGH because a large number of members in the NGH are hobby hypnotists. It's something that they do out of interest on the side, but there are those of us that this is our chosen profession. This is our chosen way of living. And there are many people out there who are trained through organizations that this is also your chosen way of living. This is how you want to earn your income. This is a modality that you want to use along with other things you might have learned, like EFT or NLP or coaching, to help people live their best life, to let go of the beliefs, habits, and behaviors that aren't serving them. So everything I'm about to say is important to you. It's important to the legality of your practice. Please don't take this lightly. You might think, well, I'm just little me because, nobody's going to notice. It's just me. Well, you're not going to understand what I'm saying just yet. I'm going to have to get into the episode. But what I can tell you is that I believe it was last year. It may have been in 2021, but I learned of it last August. The legality of hypnosis practice in the state of Colorado was gone overnight. And it was all because of a simple change in language in an existing law. They just opened up the law. They changed a few words. If my understanding and recollection is correct, it may not be exact, but they changed something in that law, and people who had not voluntarily opted in to be on this registry overnight, they were practicing hypnosis illegally. So I really want you to hear what I am saying to you. In your training, if ethics of hypnosis practice was not addressed, and usually it's not addressed in detail, it's covered, and then you're, at least within the NGH training, it's covered, and then you're given the resources and the documents to include in your practice. That's what I do for graduates of my training. It's covered in part of the self-study. And then in my members area, I have links to all of the NGH documents so people can go get what they need and know how to practice legally. It's not my responsibility to make sure practice legally, but it's my responsibility to make sure people have the information. So wherever you trained, if there was not discussion of ethics, if there was not discussion around codes of conduct, if there was not discussion around standards of practice, then what you need to do right now, pause this episode and go to ngh.net. ngh.net. You do not have to be a member to click on the tab that says Download Center. Go to the Download Center. You can get the Code of Ethics, which was updated 3/15/2022. You can get the NGH State Law Guide and HIPAA download. There is a video update on the ethics and legal issues for Hypnotists, a 2021 edition. Now, I attended the live training in 2022. There are a couple of little updates in there, including conversation about Colorado, okay? And there are some links there for people who are in the state of Connecticut, New York, California, Minnesota, Ontario, Canada documentation, Florida documentation, and the most recent Canada update was 2014. So those things are there for you. The NGH has a very wonderful member. It's Dr. Scott Giles, who is the legislative liaison for the NGH. What does that mean? It means that he works with the union, and when legislative issues are brought up, he is the point person who has conversations with members of state legislatures when things come up. The Colorado issue slipped under the radar because there was no notification, but currently there's an issue going on in Minnesota. And as soon as a member of the NGH was made aware of this issue, she contacted the NGH, got people connected, and there was a huge lack of understanding around what hypnotists do. So the NGH was able to step in. I don't have an update on that yet. This has been a couple of weeks ago. I learned about that. But my point being, if you're a hypnotist and you are practicing and you are seeing clients, you should have a liability policy. There are several places you can get those liability policies. Most companies, and I would actually venture to guess all of them, who have these liability policies are aware of the NGH standards and the NGH Code of Ethics. I know that the American Professional Agency is, because the NGH is a preferred organization when you go in and you sign up for liability insurance. So when we talk about Code of Ethics and standards of practice, what does that have to do with liability? Well, what that has to do with liability is if you are promoting things in your marketing, in your advertising, and you are using therapeutic language, if you are using words like anxiety, depression, binge eating, those things are all diagnostic terms. And I know everybody uses the word anxiety loosely. I get it. I use the word anxiety when I feel nervous, and it's not anxiety. Most people do. The same thing with depression. For most people with depression, people are feeling sad or down, and it's not actual clinical depression. But using these words can grab the attention of people, and they can go to local judges, they can go to state legislators, and they can claim that you are practicing medicine or counseling without a license. You can get letters of cease and desist. You could, worst case scenario, someone could charge you with that just to make your life miserable. And while your liability policies will help you cover legal fees if you run into issues, if they look and they see that you use language or terminology that does not fall within the standard of practice and recommended terminology within the NGH, chances are your liability policy is going to say, you know what, you're operating outside of your scope. We're not covering anything for you. So if you don't even know what I mean by scope of practice, it's time for you to go to the NGH website. It's time for you to do some homework, because there are people who need what you're doing. There are people who are dealing with everyday issues who don't need a therapist. They don't need a psychotherapist. They don't need a psychiatrist. They just want to break these habits. They want to be more motivated. They want to be more confident. They want to feel good about speaking up in their relationships, whatever the cases may be. And we have to, you don't have to, we as a profession, if we want to protect the profession, have to operate within these guidelines. We have to be mindful of what we're saying. We may know what we mean, but the letter of the law doesn't give a shit what we mean. Okay. I mean, I'm really riled up about this, and I'm not, if this is something that's important, because you know what? I may run a multi-six-figure business providing hypnosis services, workshops, trainings, but there's also the single mom out there who on the weekends might do hypnosis sessions to help people to stop smoking, to lose weight, so that she has extra money to provide the things for her kids that she wants them to have. There might be someone wanting to walk away from a toxic work environment who's just working part-time, a couple of evenings a week, seeing clients, right? And everyone gets impacted. If you're in hypnosis to run a business, then this is important. If you're just a hobbyist and you have fun with friends and those kinds of things, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're in business, if you're marketing, if you're advertising, if you're moving into the training arena, these are things that you need to provide your students with. Now, there's also a link here on the website, and I'm going to find the link that it is right now. Yes, I'm actually online while we are recording here. Not going to share the screen here, but there is, if you go to the ngh.net and you click on legislation tab, again, that's where the NGH Download Center is backlinked under that tab as well. Under that tab, you will find the union application. You will find the union benefits form, and you will find the link to the National Federation of Hypnotists Union. Hypnotists on the whole are a small community compared to other organizations like the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, American Psychological Association, all these things, right? But what the union does is when there is an issue, because we're members, we actually get the benefit of a much larger umbrella to go to bat for us when legislative issues come up. So I truly encourage you to please, 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 before you go down the rabbit hole of trying to read your own state's legislation and trying to interpret it, before you hire an attorney to look at what you're doing, get this information, study this information, and then take this information to your attorney. If you're looking to make sure that you are good where you are, you need to have this information because, and let me tell you, lawyers don't know what hypnosis is. They don't understand it. They don't get it. Only those of us in the profession get it. And when we operate by the standards, the ethics, and the guidelines, we are in our lane, and people may get upset with what we're doing to change lives. But at the end of the day, we're in our lane. We have a right to practice. I just can't stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. If you're running trainings, please provide this information to your graduates. If you were in a training and you weren't given these documents, they're free on the NGH website. Go get them. Don't guess, right? Don't guess. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. And I know that I've had people ask me about Canada, specifically about Canada. I mistakenly said it was Quebec when I was having a conversation with someone recently. Let me go back in here and look at this again. I want to be 100% accurate. It was Ontario. It was Ontario that the NGH did some work in 2012 and 2014. So anyway, there is an organization here to support you. It's not expensive to be a member. For a little over $200 a year, you can become a member of the NGH and the union. And the union has benefits. If you're looking for insurance and other things, you actually tap into the discounts that the union gets for all members of the union. Okay, so you can actually, the cost of the union, you can get that money back in a year just in discounts. So yeah, this is what really fired me up this morning. So if you listen to this, if you're angry, that's fine. If you're happy, that's fine. If you're like you've gone off the deep end, that's fine too. I don't care. This is something that's important to me. 25 years in healthcare, I have sat back and I have watched how much larger, more powerful, and financially backed organizations try to manipulate the practices of people who may not have the same level of education that they have, simply because they want market share. They want market share. They feel it's a threat. As long as you're working with normal everyday people, helping people through normal everyday problems, helping people to have a better future, and you're not claiming to treat things from the past, you're good. You're golden. All right. Go to the NGH, get these documents. I will put the links in the show notes so that you can easily access them. ngh.net. Go to the download center and go to the legal center, and you will find the links for everything that you need to make sure that you are practicing in a way that you are supported, and that if someone else has something to say about the way you're doing things, you can say, you know what, I'm in my lane. All right, catch you next time.